time now for the news review, and I'm currently joined by Dr. Amoahkoh, Deputy Spokesperson, Bawumia Campaign. A little later, we shall be joined by another panelist. But let's start our review this morning with Doc. Good morning, how are you?
Good morning.
Always a pleasure to have you on.
Always a pleasure to be here. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you for asking. Very well. Tell me how your week has started so. It's just day 2 in the week. How's it been for you?
Yeah, and funny enough, I always almost always start my week on the show with your viewers. This morning is quite a somber one. I think the question on everybody's mind is why our Bono Regional Chairman has been unceremoniously kept behind bars. And it's not just that, because we become used to this government and indeed their influence on the police service being used against members of the NDC. But what really disturbs us is the affront to the processes of justice that we have in this country. Up until this morning, we are not aware where Chairman Abronya is being kept. He hasn't had access to his lawyers since he was whisked away from the police CID to an unknown location. We don't know what charges are being proffered against him, and I'm hearing it's something like disturbing the peace or something like that. He hasn't been charged with armed robbery, he hasn't been charged with murder, but it seems like he's been treated like a hardened criminal. And it's not surprising, it's beginning to look like a pattern from this government, arresting anybody that dares to criticize them with a loud enough voice. The funny thing is, all of this is also happening at the same time where we have thousands of Ghanaian refugees who have been displaced. I've been told some are in Togo, some are in Burkina, but most of them are in Ivory Coast. We haven't seen the Minister of Foreign Affairs, who, when he was in opposition and the ranking member on the Committee for Foreign Affairs, the same kind of incident happened in Ukraine, and we heard him all over the place, even flying all the way to Ukraine to go and ascertain what was going on. The difference is, at that point, the Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo government had already expatriated most of the Ghanaian students that were in Ukraine. In fact, we were one of the first African countries to successfully expatriate our citizens from Ukraine. Now, the trouble is happening here, and our citizens are refugees just across the border. You know, you could even drive to Ivory Coast, you could even drive to Bulgaria, you can drive to Togo, but we haven't seen our Foreign Affairs Minister do anything about it. We're just calling on him again to go and attend to the needs of Ghanaian citizens that are displaced. I have been told they have very little to eat, they are sleeping in tents, and it's an very uncalled for situation for a country like Ghana.
Usually for refugees or persons seeking asylum, you're likely to have them be in tents. It's not strange that they're in tents, are they? And as well, you've seen the news that NADMO and other civil societies are responding to their needs as well. Up until yesterday, the Minister for Interior has inaugurated a committee.
I'm not tired of the numerous committees inaugurated by this government. It's like one issue, one committee, and that's not the results that we expect. We expect that our Ghanaian citizens there are properly taken care of. I don't even want to go into the nitty-gritties of the conflicts, because I always want to tread very cautiously when it comes to that. But what is very important this morning is that our people there are properly taken care of. The pictures and videos and the reports coming out of that region are very disheartening. And the difference is, it is very close. It's right across the border. It's something that is just a drive away. And so we do expect more. It's not a matter of committees or plain lip service to the people of Ghana. We want to make sure that they are properly taken care of before we can then come and look at what could be causing the rampant surge in conflicts that we seem to be experiencing in this country. So, no, we don't think enough has been done at all. It's quite normal for them to be in tents, but have you seen the state of those tents? Some of the videos and pictures and indeed reports that come out of that area are a sight for sore eyes. Very little children, they look almost malnourished. Some are not even in tents, sitting on mats outside and in the mud, and it's not something we should countenance as a country.
Paint a picture for me. How would you rather have it?
How would I rather have the refugees treated? The same way, I don't know if you remember, not too long ago, with the processes in Ukraine, do you remember what our Minister for Foreign Affairs did at that time?
At the time, he was part of the Foreign Affairs
that he was a
Committee.
ranking member. Do you remember how verbose he was about the issue?
He was very vocal about it.
Even though the government was putting in way better measures than, I mean, I could say that more effort was being put at that time because the repatriation was indeed done very quickly. But now we don't see that, and I'm very happy that it's playing on your screen. And this is what people have to deal with. Have they received any aid? Have they received any medical care? What plans do we have to bring them back into the country? There's no need for Ghanaian citizens to be refugees in Ivory Coast. Indeed, we could bring them to Ghana, find them a camp. We hosted Liberians in this country for over 10 years, if I'm not wrong. So why can we not host these Ghanaians, so about 40,000 of them?
Proximity?
Yes.
Proximity?
Proximity to the conflict?
No, proximity to where they are now currently.
No, it's about the status of Ghana. We are sovereign states, and there's a lot of space in this country where they can be hosted. Are we saying that the only place that they can be hosted is Ivory Coast, that we have to rely on the benevolence of another country to take care of 40,000 of our citizens? Indeed, I don't believe that Ghana has sunk that low to rely on Ivory Coast and other partners to handle this for us.
On top of my mind, do you think that these people who have, they mostly as well migrated themselves to Ivory Coast, do you on top of your mind think that they wanted to be at least close to where they have been, where they've been domiciled for years?
No, I don't think that's the case. In a conflict situation, usually when people are trying to flee, they flee in the direction that they find closest to them, that they can find some safety. So they moved across the border because that's where it's close to them. But as a Ghanaian government, just as we repatriated people from Ukraine, you repatriate them back. If you have to put them in a camp where you then have access to them, they have access to the medical systems in this country, they have access to aid, they have access to feeding. Don't you think that's better than relying on the benevolence of the Ivorians? It's almost embarrassing for us as a country, don't you agree?
Well, the government is providing these services to them.
From the look of it, I don't see what they are providing, and it's obviously not up to scratch.
Okay, so you'd rather they are not hosted in Ivory Coast, one. You'd rather they are hosted in Ghana, and then two, you'd rather the foreign minister.
No, we want to see more action from him. If we didn't know or we didn't hear from him and know what to expect from him, this would be a totally different issue. But if the same instance happened, indeed, in a country where we could sort of speculate that our students were treated a little better while they were there, they were quickly repatriated. But now they are in Ivory Coast. We can see, because the videos were just playing on your screen, and it's not something that we want to see. I don't think you like the images that you're seeing on your screen. We would like to see more action from him, because he was very loud at that time, thinking that it was quite easy to handle these things. So now that he's in power, I expect that he will show us everything he was talking about that time. Because we don't need to see this. The bottom line is we expect these our fellow Ghanaians to be well treated. And you cannot really rely on the benevolence of your neighbors. We are very grateful for the hospitality they've shown the Ghanaian refugees so far. But can you imagine if this was the tenure of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo when we had Ghanaian refugees in Ivory Coast? I'm sure the Honorable Amoahkoh would have been on this set this morning, raining down hellfire on the government. So I think I'm actually being quite charitable with him. I think the minority and the MPP is indeed being quite charitable with him. And we just expect to see movement. We just expect to see work done. We don't want to see these kinds of images on our screens anymore. If once the people are properly taken care of, then we can move forward to discuss why the rampant rise in the conflicts are in the region now.
Okay. So if the foreign minister is not very vocal about it, but we have other ministers who are and solving the problem, will it make you feel any better?
I don't believe the problem is being solved, MFA. That's the crux of the problem. You see, it's not just a matter of tit for tat with the foreign minister. The problem is not being handled, and it just so happens that he made Ghanaians, he made all of us believe that he had the know-how to be able to properly handle these kinds of situations. So we expected to see him up and doing, so that this matter would not have run so long that I have another opportunity to come and sit here to discuss it.
Okay. But the foreign minister is quite busy with the... You surely have heard what's happening with us.
He's too busy.
He's not too busy.
He's too busy to deal with 40,000 Ghanaians.
50,000 actually.
Yeah, 50,000 Ghanaians who are stranded and don't even know it.
But what I find interesting with the submission is that the Interior Minister has taken this up wholly.
Let me just land. Not too long ago, we sent a truckload full of aid to Palestine. You saw that?
Yes.
But we can't get our own people, 50,000 of them, back into the country and keep them comfortable.
That's number. I mean, I see that we're juxtaposing it with the numbers that were repatriated from Ukraine back here in Ghana in the Akufo-Addo era. But this is 50,000 we're talking about.
50,000, that's just across the border. You don't have to fly to Europe to get them back. That's the difference.
You find that's a lot more affordable,
yes,
charitable for a government to be able
and
to
you know, it's not a matter of affordability, it's a matter of necessity.
Okay.
It's something that is required. These people require our help. These are our brothers and sisters over here. They require us to be up and doing to help them out in this situation.
If I
expect nothing less from the government.
If I find in the footage of NATMO and trucks, you know, loading foodstuff, Red Cross Society, all the societies that
it's very good. You know, in any sort of conflict situation, Red Cross always kicks in, and we are very grateful to them that they exist and they always kick into action. But that's not the bottom line. We don't want to see them in such a state. We expect an improvement in their lives. We expect to see a plan moving forward and how we're going to handle this situation. It's not as simple as sending a Red Cross over there. I don't think that's the expectation of the Ghanaian people. Okay.
Well, we're also joined by our next panelist, which I'll just be introducing shortly. We're joined by Honorable Dickson Cheredua, MP for Brekum West. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
So how's your week been so far?
It's been quite an eventful week.
You want to tell me about it?
Yeah, I was away for about 2 weeks in the United States of America for a very important cause for the good people of Bono region. You know, the 3 regions in the Bono, that is the Bono, Ahafo, Bono East, there's not a single dialysis center within that enclave. And these 3 regions share boundary with Western North and Savannah. So 5 regions, the whole of that enclave, people with kidney-related problems have to travel all the way to either Kumasi or Accra to access dialysis healthcare. So the good people from that region living in the northern part of America, that is USA and Canada, organized an event. And I was privileged to be a co-guest speaker to raise funds for a dialysis center in Bono region. And it was highly, highly successful event, attended by the president of the Bono Regional House of Chiefs, Osaje Forsiadio, Dr. Ajimambadu II, Domahini himself. But he donated $100,000 to support this cause. He
donated $100,000.
He was a special guest of honor. I was a co-guest speaker. Members of parliament from the region, traditional authorities, and all the key stakeholders were there.
So we're looking to see a dialysis center soon.
Exactly, in Sunyane. And let me use this opportunity to commend the leadership of Cubana. Cubana is the Council of Bono and Ahafo region citizens in the Northern America, Canada, and United States. They did a very wonderful job. Touched down on Sunday and had a very sweet victory against Mali yesterday. I came a bit earlier than scheduled for this particular game. So let me use this opportunity to once again congratulate our gallant Black Stars for making us proud. 19 points from 8 matches. They've won 6, drawn 1, and just 1 loss in the qualifiers. And I think we should rather commend them. Their criticisms have been overboard, I must say. They've been very astounding up to this point.
Who are you talking about?
Black Stars, yes. If you play 8 matches, you win 6. Let me tell you, from football perspective and from football administrative perspective, you play 8 matches, you've won 6, you've drawn just 1, and lost 1. with 2 matches to go, you are leading the pack with 3 points. We need probably 1 win, 1 draw, and I'm very confident we're going to win the remaining matches. You know, the problem with a lot of people is that they want to see the Black Stars play beautiful football and win on top. But in football, the most important thing is the maximum 3 points, and they've been winning them sometimes in a very scrappy manner, like we got it yesterday. But I think that was better than playing good football and not winning. We started playing World Cup qualifiers in early 60 until 2006, 46 years later, that we made our maiden appearance in the World Cup. We were playing beautifully. They were calling us the Brazil of Africa, the Samba Soccer of Africa, but we were not able to qualify. So for me,
this means a lot to
a
you.
lot too, because I've been to all the previous World Cups. 2006, I was part of the Black Stars team. From the qualifiers to Germany, I was in South Africa, I was in Brazil, and 2022 in Qatar. And I'm looking forward to going to United States, Canada, and America. You know, let me tell you this. The Ghanaian residents I met in US, from Denver, Colorado, New Jersey, Ohio, New York, the anticipation is so high. They're looking forward to welcome their heroes. And we cannot afford to miss this Mondial. So once again, our gallant Black Stars, we're very proud of you. You did the job yesterday. You ain't done yet. We're looking forward for another sweet win against Central African Republic and finish off on the 13th of October. So USA, Canada, Mexico, here we come. So I'm very excited because if we had not won yesterday, it would have been quite disappointing because my scheduled return was on 15th. And I had to cut that short to come and be part of this.
Welcome
occasion.
back.
Thank you
over
very
here,
much.
there's been so much in the news.
Anyway.
You must have heard that some persons have been displaced and are seeking asylum or refuge in Côte d'Ivoire. Nearly 50,000 persons, Ghanaians over there. About 30 persons have also lost their lives in the Binyeri land dispute. That's one. 2, there's also our Minister for Communications as well, up in Amsterdam, DSTV.
Yeah.
There's so much to talk about over there as well. You must have heard that the USA has also withdrawn or put a halt on our MCC, Millennium Challenge Corporation as well, or the compact as well. So
this is the one, the takeover. What's going on between EMP and Azuma Resources? That's also a very interesting.
That's a very interesting one.
Brewing yesterday.
So since he just got back, I started off with these 3.
And I think a lot has also been going on within NPP regarding their primaries, that's
NPP.
The rising temperature.
That's NPP.
In the camp of Dr. Baomia.
Okay. She's here, she'll confirm.
And the rest. So she's briefing me things that have transpired. I think that's one of the most important issues. We also need to look at the ethnic politics being played and all those things. So all these things.
We'll discuss. Which one has? We have a lot of time today, but which one has your attention?
Well,
maybe something that's not even in the news.
Regarding the conflict.
Okay.
In the some parts of the country. In fact, I'm very much aware. My DC has briefed me. Even within my constituency, some people have sought refuge in Brekum West constituency. You know, Brekum West used to host one of the biggest refugee centers in Ghana during the Côte d'Ivoire crisis. A lot of people sought refuge, and we have a huge refugee center over there. So Brekum West is affected. I was told 19 people have already come in, and the DC has arranged to get them a place. 19? 19 are already in. So not only Côte d'Ivoire, there are a number who are internally displaced as well. So we will be pleading, as usual, with the feuding factions to exercise restraint and to allow peace to prevail. I don't think anybody would want to go through this. So it is something, once again, I want to call on the feuding factions to exercise restraint, let peace prevail, and let us get together as a country. You know, when one part of the country is in conflict, it affects the general development of the country.
Before your arrival, Doc was very vocal about a few things and quite obvious. So she thinks that as a country, we're well enough, we have enough capacity to at least take care of these displaced persons rather than keep them in Côte d'Ivoire. She as well thinks that she doesn't think that they're being taken care of the way they should be cared for. And case in point will be how the former, the current foreign minister at the time, he was a ranking on the Foreign Affairs Committee in Parliament, how he dealt with and treated the students who were in the midst of the Russia-Ukraine war. What do you have to say to Doc?
The response is very simple. You know, people decide when they want to go in terms of conflict. That's what I said. Those who came to Bono region have been well accommodated. They've been well catered for, and resources have been put at their disposal to make them very comfortable. Plans are underway to integrate them. Some are students, and the assembly is ready to support them to go through their education. And I think these are some of the interventions we are expecting. And as usual, we'll be expecting more from the government to ensure that our compatriots who are going through this are not duly overstretched. So that's the point I will make for now. But I think the government will be very proactive to deal with the situation as it emerges.
Well, we're interested, and Doc, I'll let you come in if you have any responses to this. This Binyeri land dispute started with one person dying, 2, 3. Now we're counting to 30. Then we're counting to about 50 persons displaced. It's been some weeks. You as a government, do you think that, would you rate your government as doing quite well in curbing the situation? I acknowledged that yesterday, if as well you're not around, to update you that the Interior Minister as well inaugurated a committee to look into the disputes and as well recommend some solutions. Tell me, until this inauguration yesterday, this migration didn't start with 50, started with 1, 2, 3, with persons as well dying. In weeks, did we not anticipate, because up north, the volatile situation should at least give us a first-hand, idea of how it can escalate to. Have we done well? Have you done well?
Yeah, I think the government is doing its best, and let us give peace chance. With the inauguration of the committee to deal with the matter, I'm very sure in the coming days, the matter will be put to rest. And, when it comes to conflict situations like this, the feuding parties themselves play a very important role in ensuring peace. That's why I keep appealing to them. It is a very sensitive, delicate issue. And I think the government is stepping in, and the government, with these interventions, we're going to see the end to the conflict.
You agree with calls by Doc and many others that why are they in Côte d'Ivoire? Can't we just provide some shelter for them here in Ghana?
It's early days yet. I think that's why I said some are being catered for internally, depending on where they find themselves. In the midst of conflict, it is very, very difficult to gather the people into safety. People run on their own. And since that is very close to the Côte d'Ivoire border, people took advantage, went into the country. And I think plans are underway to properly account for all those who are displaced into Côte d'Ivoire, and they will be catered for. Internally, as I indicated, my constituency, my district, people who came in are well catered for, and they've been integrated into the society. Students amongst them are being supported to continue with their education. And I think it's early days yet, but in the coming days, we will see resolution to this crisis.
Okay. Doc, it's early days yet.
I didn't think the reset the NDC was talking about was to reset us back to a snail pace of dealing with such matters. I'm very grateful that you are taking care of some of these displaced Ghanaians in your constituency. You said the numbers were under 20. I don't remember the exact figure you gave.
Yeah, 19 came in, the 19. Number that came in.
That's very nice of you. But, you know, the government has a huge responsibility to tackle issues when they come. It's not good enough to say that people will migrate where they want. That is true. But I want to ask, how did you get the footage? Your
our reporters, exactly. We've been on ground.
Multimedia reporters are able to go there and locate an encampment that has been formed by themselves, the refugees themselves. And I'm sure the benevolence of the Ivorians, they provided the tents, and like a small community has already been set up. And this has been going on for a while. In fact, it took a lot of advocacy on social media before the presidency even released the statement on this matter. So it is very clear that they've been quite slow to act. And it's quite surprising as well because it involves His Excellency, the President, it involves the people of His Excellency, the President. So I would have expected some more action. And here I'm not going to belabor the point. We just expect action. We expect that the 40,000, 50,000 Ghanaians that are in Ivory Coast are brought back. Indeed, you said there's a camp somewhere in your constituency. We know of so many camps. As I said, we've hosted so many of our neighbors here for long periods of time. So why is it that our own people that are fleeing from conflicts cannot be catered for internally? Why don't we create something for them here so that they are at home? You see, one of the problems that you face in a situation like this, the whole feeling of being in a different place could also have a great psychological toll on these people. It brings a lot of comfort to know that you are at home, you are amongst your people, you can still reach out to friends from other regions, and then you just have that connection of being at home, and it's very important. So no, I do not think that the government's approach to this crisis has been effective enough. I don't want to call it a dragging of feet, but I do expect to see some more action moving forward. It's not enough to set up a committee. We remember when the NDC government came into power, it didn't take long. They set up a flooding task force. I don't know what happened with that task force because we still see flooding. So there's no comfort that is provided by setting up a committee to indeed me and to the people of Ghana. All we expect is that we don't see these gruesome images on our screens going forward. Okay.
Well, again, Doc, do you have DSTV at home?
This DSTV matter, MFR.
Do you have DSTV at home?
I actually do not watch DSTV anymore.
You don't anymore? Why?
With the advent of Prime Video and Netflix and whatnot, I think it's just easier to do that. So I
don't think we should ask Honorable because for a football lover, definitely you have DSTV.
He has DSTV.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You do?
Sure.
Is it affordable or expensive?
It's quite expensive. You know, if you compare to the Nigeria, if you should put it on other countries. If you go to United States and you paying for such subscriptions, UK, you're paying for Sky, compared to what we're paying here is very, very expensive. And I think the minister is right on his campaign to get DSTV to give us affordable prices. So it's quite expensive.
What do you make of the journey so far? The call for the reduction, I'll suspend your license, I will not suspend, I'll sit down for a stakeholder engagement. What has been going on so far? What would you say about?
I've always called for comprehensive dialogue. That's the way to go. I have always called for that. And I think the officials, management of DSTV are being a little bit difficult. You may not like the approach of the Honorable Minister, but the fact remains that they are charging us and their charges are over the roof. And for that matter, they need to get the prices down. It's not negotiable. That's number one. It's very important to establish that. And it is on that tangent that the minister has been pursuing this matter, that we need to get affordable prices for the DSTV. So it's quite unfortunate, the back and forth we're seeing and where the matters have been dragging to. But I think there should be an end in sight. There should be a resolution, and we should have lower prices. You know, it all boils down also to lack of competition in the system. If you have competitors who are ready to give lower rates, that will force DSTV to come down. So going forward, as we try to resolve this, I think we should create the environment to allow other players to also enter. I know in the past, few have tried, but they found it very, very difficult to penetrate. We should do a lot more to encourage, provide tax breaks, tax incentives, and enabling environment to get others in, so that when there is competition, I think prices will naturally fall into their places. That is the exact situation we are facing in my region. You know, there is only one internal airline that goes once a day, and sometimes you pay over 2,000, 2,300 just one way to go to Sunyani. And it is because there is no competition. You know, Accra, Kumasi, Accra, Tamale, sometimes 10 flights a day to Kumasi, and you can get a better deal sometimes. But in my place, there is only one option for you if you don't want to drive.
But if there's no, is there a need for it? Is there a demand for it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Huge demand. Huge demand. In fact, if you don't book, say, a week, 4 or 5 days earlier, you're not going to get it. Even at the exorbitant price you want to pay, you will still not get it. So it's important we introduce competitions into some of these services, and that will drive prices down for the benefit of our customers.
Is this just you overseeing? You know, let's not even digress from the conversation. Let's stay on the DSTV. I'll come to you, Doc. Have you followed the social media discourse? Many have said that it looks like our minister is only talking, but is not able to implement. Do you get that feeling too?
Not really. I don't get that. You also need to look at the interests of the people. You know, that's why continuous dialogue is key. If you crack the whip at this stage, I mean, a lot of people are going to lose out. So it's a very delicate situation, and I think parties should do more.
But if you follow the minister's press briefing, his statement and all that, he's very clear. There's no if, it's, what's and buts. He's very straightforward. I will do this, I'll do that.
No, but there are negotiations also behind the scenes, which I'm very much aware, you know. So, but the DSTV has also taken a very, very tough stance. They've also come out on several occasions giving reasons why prices should stay as they are, and there's nothing they're going to do about it. Meanwhile, they are also talking behind the scenes. So let's wait and see how things play out. But I've indicated, one, we need DSTV. That's very important. Two, we need the services at an affordable price for everybody to assess. You know, for me, it is not a luxury. If you want to know what has happened globally, if you want to be part of the global village, some of these services are necessities, not necessarily luxury. And for that matter, they should be made affordable for everybody to access them.
Okay. Yeah, some regards from here. George Amoahkoh says to tell you hi. Okay. Yeah, he's my dad. Oh, anyway, yes, he just said Stuttgart. I didn't know that was your name.
Yes. Yeah.
So what's the name?
Stuttgart.
Stuttgart. Yeah.
Right. We'll keep that in mind.
Together. Then this. Great. Yes. I after I'm sure you can get to talking.
This means you'll be nice to him.
I'm being very nice. I'm being very nice this morning.
Except that she's taking advantage of the conflict situation.
No, really. I'm always the last to take advantage of conflict situations, but I think the images coming out of there are truly disheartening. Really, and then I expect some more action, especially with all everything that we heard from your side. We expected more from you. I think the people of Ghana also expected more. And now to the issue of DSTV. I think the posture of the minister is truly one to move mountains for. I don't see how that brings any kind of resolution. One thing we have to know is DSTV is a product. Some might even consider it a luxury product. It's not a necessity. It's not something that you require. There are a lot of free-to-air channels, number one. Number two, it's obvious that they are not going to yield that easily. we're in a country where it's supposed to be a free market, if I'm not wrong. And especially from where I come from and from my political party, we believe in allowing the private sector to grow. So you don't stifle them with regulation. You don't do too much price regulation and intervention. You just allow the free market to operate. So indeed, the best solution would be to open up and allow competitors to come so that the prices will fall where they may. I think another mistake we make is this comparison with Nigeria. Nigeria has a population of over 200 million citizens, if I'm not wrong. I think it might even be a little more than that. So the pricing model or whatever their business plan in Nigeria, we cannot expect that it is the same here. So it's something that requires dialogue. It's not about writing a tweet that I'm taking your license tomorrow when you know well ensure that you cannot take their license tomorrow. They are a legitimate entity operating in this country, and unless you want to pay billions of dollars in mediation, you can't just take their license. So you'd sit them down, and I'm sure in DSTV's pricing model, there's an aspect of the pricing model that is in the control of the government, that we can look at that if we really want to do something about the prices. But if they are anything like me and you come to me fighting and trying to give me instructions as to what to do, I'm sorry, you have a very terrible fight, because that will also put me in a very defensive situation and then it becomes a fight. But if you approach this situation from a point of diplomacy, you know, your prices are quite high relative to other regions. I think that the people of Ghana, with respect to consumer protection, we have to do something about it. So how do we go about it? I think we would have benefited and would have seen much better results than this public feud that is playing out. And again, you cannot continue to compare it with Nigeria. The way things are and the cost of living indeed is quite different between Ghana and Nigeria. So you can't just juxtapose and expect that, okay, Nigerians are paying this much, so we want to pay this much. You have to ask what is going into your pricing model. In fact, how much is the government of Ghana, how much of the premium that we pay for DSTV is taxes as compared to Nigeria? These are all questions that we need to ask to be able to come to some kind of proper solution. But it's not again, I think sometimes the NDC get confused. It's not a military government anymore. We are a democracy. You can't
do we recognize really that the DSTV as an entity just not operated the vacuum? Once you're operated in Ghana, you operate under
the laws. Exactly.
And even without the minister engaging stakeholderly, it can operate solely under NCA and what the NCA demands. And the NCA has got the sole mandate to regulate. And you see, if you look carefully at the laws in the SCA provision, it tells you when and how they can regulate. But so if they wanted to go strictly by their NCA, they may not even have the stakeholder engagement.
NCA is obviously the regulator.
Absolutely.
But I don't know how much power the NCA has to regulate pricing in a free market.
Of course, whilst we recognize the free market, it says that if there's a single operator and it is dominating, the NCA can regulate it.
Yes, you can regulate to a point, through dialogue, because they have contracts. They've been operating in this country for about 30 years, if I'm not wrong. Multi-choice, isn't it? We've had a very long relationship with them. What kind of message are we even sending out to investors coming out of South Africa where multi-choice is from? You don't just use this approach, is what I'm saying. If NCA, and when you read the press releases from NCA, you can tell it has a different tone than the messages that come out from the Honorable Minister of Communication. So if NCA, as the regulator, decides that we have evidence that you are overcharging Ghanaians, it's a different matter. And then you can then dialogue them to do it. But at this point, is there any evidence that multi-choice is breaking the law of Ghana? If that was the case, don't you think the alliances would have been suspended long ago?
Well,
Doc, I think what we are talking about here, the minister is talking about, it's not about price parity with Nigeria. We're talking about pricing equity with Nigeria. You know, especially if what you are charging us here is about 3 times, 4 times what is paid in Nigeria for the premium, 2 times.
Oh, yes.
So, for instance, if Nigerians are paying, say, in dollar terms, let me put it, if they say maybe $100, we should be paying maybe $150, $120, but to the extent we're paying about $300 for similar services. That's what we are talking about. We believe in free market economy as well. But we also believe in ensuring that the customer gets
protected.
Gets a very good deal. You know, we're living in a country where, for instance, cement, the major component of cement, clinker, is imported in dollar terms. Duties are pegged in dollar terms, and dollar falls to around 11 cedis, duties come down, and prices of cement are going up. You begin to wonder, so when these things are happening, then you need to question. And that's why, as a minister, you have to intervene. I agree with you. It is about dialogue. It's about sitting around the table, get resolution. But the fact still remains that what is being charged here, it is not about their pricing model in Nigeria and the number of people who are accessing
more subscribers.
They all come into it. But as we are saying, we're talking about pricing. So there's a difference between more pricing, parity, and equity.
There's no. See, I think there's
the equity.
Okay,
very
you land. I understand what you're saying, and we are not against consumer protection. I think, in fact, Ghana as a nation has to do more with consumer protection. My problem is the approach, and if you compare just on the face of it with Nigeria, you might be getting the modalities wrong.
Do you think that the minister used that approach at least to have an upper hand when they go into the negotiation
with Nigeria?
No, with DSTV. The posture, the tone, everything, because you must have a negotiating hand.
When you're going into a negotiation and you enter into it acrimoniously, you cause the person you are negotiating with to also come at you acrimoniously.
I think that...
I honestly think that it should always be a carrot first.
Before the stick?
Yes.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Carrot and stick approach, right? In the beginning, do you think that the minister was using the stick approach?
Yes.
I think that at the time that the CD was doing well, he just thought that, why not? The dollar to the CD rate is doing well.
Just as I said, multi-choice has been in this country for 30 years, okay? So if they understand that the volatility of our currency, the time that they came into government, it was a fresh government, things had changed. They were eager to prove to the people of Ghana that they didn't scam their way into government, which is becoming more and more obvious now. But at that point, there was a depreciation and then the CD was doing better. Most people in business were very much aware that they needed to be conservative and they needed to observe the markets before making decisions. Because just imagine today now the dollar is now 13 or so. So if they were forced at that point to make pricing decisions, where would they be now?
The dollar 13?
Yes, the dollar is, well, if you are going to an Abochi, it's about 13.
Why would you want to go to an Abochi, Doc?
Are you able to get the dollar from the bank? I mean, personally, I'm never able to. It's hell to try and get dollars from the bank.
In recent days?
So you will go to the Forex...
In recent days?
I mean, yes, the whole year. So you go to a Forex bureau to try and change the money, and I can tell you get about 13. So let's call it 12, 13. When he was putting out those threats, Bank of Ghana was putting out the dollar at 10. So were they supposed to make those decisions based on the 10? As a company, just think about it. If you were multi-choice or multimedia was multi-choice and the government comes to you, the minister comes to you that today the dollar is 10. You have been in this country for 30 years, so you know that today it can be 10 and it will go up and down and blah, blah. And he wants to force you to make decisions based on the dollar at 10. As a company that has had the resilience to survive in this country for 30 years, will you yield based on that point? No. So that's
my colleague reporters, including myself, at the time that the dollar purported to be doing well, according to Bloomberg and all other rating,
now apparently it's the worst performing.
According to Bloomberg.
Yes.
Bloomberg report.
So that is lower than what you left us.
We left you first.
If you go to Abosokai, the traders over there, even Guta, their umbrella association said, if you speak to the traders, they say that, well, we recognize that the dollar is doing well, but our stock that we have is an old stock, so we want to sell it a bit. We want to observe a little bit.
Yes.
I do not see in any of the multi-choices responses that suggested that we're even considering it, we're even looking at it.
I saw
which aggravated the minister.
Press statement from them. I don't know if it was recent or an old one. They were saying that they were going to upgrade So if you're on Compact, they will upgrade you to Compact Plus. If you paid for Compact Plus, they will upgrade you. I saw that. So I don't know if that was
the
yes, he's the DSTV. Yeah, I saw a press release from them. See, my point is I am not against this whole trying to get DSTV prices down. But I can tell you this approach by the minister is not really going to yield the results.
And the approach by DSTV, multi-choice, their responses?
I think multi-choice, they might be quite sure that the minister doesn't have enough he doesn't have enough bites behind.
Beyond the minister, what's to the people of Ghana as well? Who are their main consumers?
See, it is like...
The statement is usually not to the minister personally. It's not an email, an exchange.
Oh, but you know, the way the minister has made this issue, it is now between both of them. You don't even get it mistaken.
It's between us.
Yes, it is supposed to be between us. But because of the actions of the minister, it can easily be misconstrued as Honorable Sam George versus multi-choice and not the people of Ghana. So to me, if you are working in the best interest of the people, the first thing you do is to try and see what goes into it. If you want to just use the exchange rates, you're not going to have a very good conversation.
But tell me, which other ways can the minister suggest reduction? Which other ways? Considering
the tax component. Why can't the government be the one to take something back? The tax component of it. And then if you see that in their pricing model, they are making too much... the margins here are way higher than Nigeria, then we can have a conversation.
That's exactly what is going on.
If we can be sure that the margins here are way higher than, maybe the margin here is like 100% and Nigeria is 50%, even then they can make an argument to you that maybe the subscriber base in Nigeria is like ×3, so it evens out.
Look, honestly,
so it's a long discussion.
I'm struggling to come to terms why you have chosen to defend
I'm not defending
being their spokesperson at the
no. I don't think you are being fair to me.
You see, MTN, also from South Africa, has been operating in this country for a considerable number of years, operating under the same ministries. Honorable Sam George is the minister, under the same agency, NCA. And there's not been any problems with MTN. Have you seen Sam George in any...
Oh, in fact, I have a personal problem with MTN. We will come there. I think this fight should be on data.
But the previous government, there were almost an attempt to say that MTN was operating on a monopoly.
Yes. So if it's MTN, in fact, the conversation will be a little different for me this morning because I don't understand what's going on with their data bundles of now. Right now, you buy it and it's flying out, and the minister is telling us to check our settings. Anyway, that's a different conversation. I'm not in any way speaking for multi-choice.
Because you are not
I am only saying that this approach is not going to yield the results that will be in the best interest of the Ghanaian people. It's going to be a back and forth. He said he was going to withdraw the license on Saturday or so, did he not? But I'm sure you watched the match. If you didn't watch it from the stadium, you watched it on your DSTV decoder. Meaning it hasn't been DSTV.
I mean, of course, because NCA then issued a statement that there was going to be a stakeholder engagement yesterday, and they were going to update us.
Exactly, but the approach, even when NCA issues a letter, the tone is a little better.
Are you sure?
Yes. I saw that they are going to sit down and have a stakeholder engagement.
This is from NCA.
Was it 8th? But 8th was yesterday, no?
Yeah, yesterday.
So they should have had this stakeholder engagement yesterday, right? I think the date that I saw on there was 8th. I would have to check again. So we expect to see something there. Here now, premium is 800 or so. So I think it's about 800, which is a lot. But I remember when I had DSC, it was like 400. That's, it's almost 100% increase. Understandable that consumer protection has to come in to bring it down. But it's the approach. Sometimes diplomacy works.
You're talking about the approach, but you don't know the number of behind-the-scenes engagements.
Of course, we will not be privy to that. All we see are the tweets with Jatta on it.
This issue has been on the front burner for some of us over the years. The exorbitant charges from DSTV didn't start from today. We've been complaining over the years, and it's come to a point the issue has to be confronted head-on. That's why you don't know the number of behind-the-scenes engagement St. George had with the management of DSTV before coming out. So we don't have to.
Have you been following his tweets? No, I'm not blaming him. I'm hoping that the best comes out of this.
Honorable St. George is such a passionate guy with a lot of drive in what he believes in. So sometimes you may misconstrue his approach to be maybe being confrontational, but it's about the passion and the drive to get this resolved. That's why you see him quite often coming out on these issues. But beyond this, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes engagement, and I'm very confident the issue will be resolved. And we want to see a resolution that comes with reduction in prices. That is non-negotiable. Nothing can be resolved without having the prices down. They are
it's only on that note that we can agree
with that. And in fact, that has been Sam George's position. You talk about negotiation, sit around the table, you finish, and prices are maintained. No. So that has to be, in fact, asserted that we're looking for price reductions in all the categories. And that's where Sam George is coming from. And our friends on the other side think no. So there should be some mediation to resolve, but it should be resolved in favor of price reduction.
Yes, I think it's clear that everybody wants price reduction, but we also have to be very cognizant of the fact that everybody is watching. The world is watching. And in tune with your own government's agenda of saying that the country is very welcome for investment, we don't want to create the impression that, you know, that's the kind of business environment you face when you come into government, into this country. So it's a balance.
What kind of business environment? That you're expensive, reduce it.
No, there's going to be some kind of tussle over, you are not going to be given the room to operate. We don't need to create that impression. That's what I'm saying. So it's a very delicate balance. Ghanaians and consumers require some reduction. Consumer protection has to happen. But you cannot create the impression that you do not allow a free market. Because you are trying,
do you get what she means?
You are trying to invite investors.
She's already espoused the opposition as believers in free market economy, each one for himself, God for us all. But we, as social democrats, we believe in egalitarian treatment of all persons, equity. So we believe in business growth, we believe in profit making, but we also believe in consumer protection. So that is the balancing act Sam George is playing here to ensure businesses thrive, to ensure we create an enabling environment for private sector to thrive, but at the same time, protect Ghanaians against such exorbitant prices. So consumer protection is very important here. So it is the balancing act he's playing, and I think at the end of the day, Ghanaians will get a better deal out of this.
We are watching.
If the dollar was doing well and then it was increased, would you feel that's fair? Because earlier this year, when the dollar was doing well, DSTV still increased by 15%.
Yes, I saw that tweet by the minister that when the dollar was doing well, they increased by 15%. So he expects. No, I don't speak for multi-choice. We would have to call them. He expects that now it is reduced by 30%. I think
because then you take the 15 that you already put on, then the existing high price that the consumers have been complaining about, you take another 15.
So again, we have to ask them what went into them increasing by 15%, because I don't think the only variable that goes into their pricing is the currency. And, you know, we cannot forget the fact that MultiChoice employs a lot of Ghanaians. It's not like some foreign company that operates from outside the country. They have a lot of offices here. They have a lot of Ghanaian employees. So when we are dealing with them, it's important that we look at the whole thing situated in a very large context. They employ a lot of people. They are paying them well. We don't know what's going on with their pricing. So again, nobody is against this act of consumer protection that is going on at all. But we just wish it didn't play out like this, like a tussle between MultiChoice and our Minister of Communication, because indeed the optics are not so bright if you are an investor coming in and you are seeing this tussle.
Okay.
Yeah, let me say this. You know, one important reason Sam George is embarking on this crusade, if I should put it, is that at the moment, a good number of Ghanaians, I cannot put data on it, but I would not be surprised if about 50% of Ghanaian subscribers are subscribing from Nigeria. Are you aware of that? Well, people denying this country that needed tax, we need to build this country.
Many stakeholders have said
the price difference is so huge. People are now resorting to subscribing from Nigerian channel. And for that matter, they are now evading tax. They're not paying taxes to Ghana. They're paying it to Nigeria. If you ask them, they say the prices are far, far cheaper. So by driving the prices downwards, that will encourage Ghanaians to subscribe here, and some taxes will be accrued for Ghana. So what it's doing, apart from protecting the interests of the consumer, is also looking at raking in taxes for the building of this country. So it is a cause we should all support as Ghanaians.
Oh, I think he's had support from across the aisle on this matter. Everybody wants to pay less.
But it appears you are serious defensive.
No. On the approach, because I don't think it is going to yield the necessary results. So this is not from a place of unnecessary criticism. It's that I don't think this is what we need to be seeing with regards to a company that's investing in the country and our minister. Not that we're against the reduction of DSTV price. I think, indeed, if you go on social media, you see that he has actually got support from across the political divide on the need for prices of DSTV to be reduced. What we don't like to see is what is beginning to turn into that, oh, tomorrow I'm taking your license, then MultiChoice says they've agreed to reduce. MultiChoice says I haven't agreed to reduce. You see, the back and forth is the problem that is making us question, is this approach an approach that is working for the people of Ghana, or is it becoming a matter of a fight of egos?
Okay. Honorable, have you heard about the arrest of a popular Abronye?
Yeah, from my region. From
your region. What can you tell us about it?
Is a very interesting politician. He assumed reins of power before 2020 elections as the regional chairman of the New Patriotic Party. At the time he came to office, we NDC in the region were having only one member of parliament out of the 12 constituencies in the region. In 2020, we increased it to 6 out of 12. Now, his second term in office, we increased our stock from 6 to 11. So, as I speak here, as the chairman of the region, he's lost grounds to NDC, losing 10 more seats since he took over power in the region. And we know he's an eccentric politician, and he is a very, very interesting character. So yesterday I learned of his arrest by the authorities. I don't know specifically what he's been picked for, but he's known for his vitriolic attacks on political opponents, especially on the person of President Mahama, several high political personalities. In this particular instance, I don't know what offense is committed. And in the last few days, we also are aware of headlines he's been making regarding seeking asylum from a number of countries for fear of his own security and the rest. What I want to say about my very good friend Abronye is that as young politicians, we should be very decorous, engage in constructive criticisms, and be very, very, very much interested in the development of the country. Politics of division, politics of insult should be discouraged. But let me place on record here that if Abronye has enemies in the country, politically, it is from his own party, because in the last few months, we are all aware of the attacks and counter-attacks from the camp of my very good friend Abronye, the camp of the former vice president, and the rest. So my passionate appeal to him is that he should exercise restraint, undertake his discourse without insults, without any vilifications, and I think that will do him very well. So he's indeed a very controversial character, and some of us would want to see him retaining his seat as the regional chairman of Bono going into 2028 elections. I told you earlier on, when he came in, we were having only one seat in the region. we've managed to climb to 11. So maybe in 2028 with him, who knows? The only one left may be taken. So that is what I know about this very gentleman.
So prior to his arrest, did you know that he was seeking asylum in other countries?
Yes,
and how serious
is this? He had been invited by the police CID to present himself for questioning or an interview on Monday. So it was on the back of that that he sought asylum, because it's quite obvious that the NDC government, even though when they were in opposition, they accused everybody, and they went as far as accusing the then Amoahkoh Akufo-Addo government as perpetuating a culture of silence. But it's in their administration that we are seeing the true culture of silence. So far, so many people have been arrested for very, very minute things, for hosting TikTok lives, for comments they've made on TikTok and such. So it's not surprising that Chairman Amoahkoh has had to suffer this fate. It is, however, an affront to our democracy, because I think before you arrived, I was explaining to MFI and our viewers that not only has he been detained, he's beginning to look like an unlawful detention, because we don't know what charges he's being detained on. He hasn't had access to his lawyer since he left the police CID. In fact, they don't even know where he's being held. And what is Chairman Amoahkoh's offense? I think that's the question on the minds of every Ghanaian. Is it for speaking his mind? We are in this country when an assign of the NDC, Kevin Taylor, if I remember carefully, was smuggled into this country by the NDC government, and he just went about his business. And if I personally just make a point not to listen to him. But for those that listen to him, the commentary coming out of there is very much against everything Honorable has said here. And then on that note, I actually agree with him. I think politics should be a conversation about ideas. We should be able to come and sit here and espouse our views, smile, go, and then get on with our business. It shouldn't be about insults. But you cannot harbor so many of them who do that on a daily basis and then be so much against criticism. We were here when one social media activist was also picked up, say Obama, and it was also in line. Most people, the speculation was that it was because he had been criticizing the IGP. And it does look like Chairman Amoahkoh had also in the past been criticizing the IGP. In fact, I think he believes that that's the reason why he was picked up, because of his criticism of the IGP and indeed the government and His Excellency President Mahama. I don't know what kind of democracy we are running where people shouldn't be allowed to say what they say. As I said, I'm very much against some of the vile language that comes out of politics, and I think it should not be countenanced. But again, you cannot criminalize it and treat somebody like a hardened criminal, a murderer, an armed robber because of something they said. It's not been too long since we went for the Akwetia by-election, where we had an executive of the NDC boldly coming out to threaten the lives of the Honorable Minority Leader, the Honorable Chief Whip, and I think another member another leading member of the MPP. Was covered on video. I think you've even had the video and you've played it. Police
is investigating.
That's a threat. What's other? You saw the person that issued the threats, and it's taking you so long, but it's been so easy for you to go and pick up Amoahkoh. And it wasn't just that. Amoahkoh walked into the police CID himself on Monday, but on Sunday there was a raid on the house of I think our Greater Accra youth organizer. And I mean, is this really what we voted you into power for? I would agree that no, that's not the point. That's not why Ghanaians voted you into power. You've been in government for 8 months, and your 24-hour economy, we haven't seen it. We were told 1 job, 3 shifts. I don't know when that's going to start. I don't know when the people of Ghana are going to benefit from the millions of jobs you promised them. We are not seeing any progress with that. Yesterday, I saw a release from ECG with regards to an unprecedented hike in the prices of one of the components that go into buying our energy. So I think these are things that the government should be more focused on. Indeed, we've spoken about the crisis in the Savannah region. We know about what's going on in Boko, but it does seem that the government and the security apparatus are more interested in picking up people in the opposition party that make comments that they don't like. And if you're a Ghanaian and you've been in this country for the past 8 years and listened to some of the things that members of the NDC said about members of the MPP, you'll be very surprised. So it's like we don't have blood running through our veins. We are not human.
I definitely think that you have that.
No, like we're not human beings. We shouldn't be able to.
It's quite a developing story.
Yeah, we shouldn't be able to.
We'll just go for it.
We should be able to take the criticism and not do anything.
I agree.
But they shouldn't be. They don't have any right.
Stay with me. There's more on the show.